You see, I saw something. I have no idea. I'm not even going to say it because you know what? It could have been made up. So I'm not even going to say it.
You can't trust anything you read anymore.
You
Don't
really
bother.
can't. Yeah.
Don't bother.
Oh my God. Courtney's like aunt is like sending her AI Christmas videos of like animals decorating a Christmas tree. What?
Dude, my feed has gotten pretty. Sometimes I get the store videos and it's like a massage, and then the massage guy throws the old lady through the wall, and I don't know why I laugh like a child every time, and then it sends me another one, and I don't fucking understand it at all.
They are funny though, because like
pisses me
my
off.
dad loves ChatGPT.
Oh no!
And so he sent us a video of him on a roller coaster where his harness falls off and he falls off of the ride and lands in water. It was hysterical. It was so bad. Now there's a data center that has to store that video, and someone's hometown is being ruined because of it.
And it used more water than I don't know, a lot of water or something.
It's tainted now, too.
I'm going to be honest. I don't understand how the AI uses water. Isn't that a thing? It uses like too much water or something?
I've always heard about it using like electricity. Like,
is that what it is?
Yeah, like I always hear about electricity costs going up because the data centers require so much power to keep going that the electric companies end up siphoning off a lot of the cost to the rest of the community then,
I just know it's bad for the environment. That's all.
It's terrible for the environment. Yeah, crypto was bad for the environment. This is bad for the environment. Bros just move from one thing to the next to ruin the earth. That's what we do.
And this podcast is brought to you by Dragon Shield. Use code PLAYTOWIN5 with the affiliate link down below for 5% off Telesports Show.
I love how we followed that up immediately by the sponsored segment. Yeah.
So you remember your line?
Well, now that you asked me, I might not. Welcome to the Play to Win podcast, where we talk about winning in cEDH. I'm Cam.
And I'm Dylan. This week we have a very cool topic. I think we were talking about 60 card formats in Magic the Gathering, right? We have a question from our patron.
Yeah, so Rocky Hall, when we were doing one of our monthly Patreon meetings, you had brought up a very cool interaction that Legacy does that we'll talk about. It will be the first thing that we talk about in this episode. And so that got Rocky Hall thinking a lot recently and going, hey, is there anything else that we can learn from 60 card formats that we can take to cEDH and then use them to help break the format a little bit more?
Okay, I like this topic. I'm going to be honest. I love having a terrible memory because I don't remember what I said here. So this is going to be like new information when you give it to me when we talk about it.
Dude, you're going to love what you said.
Oh, man, this is so funny and great. Let's hear it.
No, because I actually think the idea has gotten even better since we first talked about it.
Okay.
So it was Summoner's Pact in Atali so that you can get Elvish Spirit Guide as just like one extra mana and help you cast Atali sooner.
Yes, yeah. There's a Legacy deck, Oops All Spells, and there's a version of it that does this. It uses this only to find really the elf to just get extra mana. It's just an extra Spirit Guide.
Elvish
That's all
Spirit
it is.
Guide, yeah. So essentially you can run 12 copies of Spirit Guides in your deck between 4 Elvish Spirit Guides, 4 Simian Spirit Guides, and 4 Summoner's Pacts in Legacy.
Yes.
Whereas now in Atali, I could essentially run 3 Spirit Guides by having the 2 Spirit Guides in Summoner's Pact. Summoner's Pact in Atali could also get me a lot of other things. Well, some other things.
Some other things. Yeah, I feel like Atali is mainly a red deck, but it certainly does get other green creatures that could be super powerful. You play Tinderwall. That's also, I mean, kind of the same thing, but...
Kind of the same thing,
mana.
yeah. It's just if I need more red mana, like it's just a way that I could go about that too.
It's another +1 mana.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like later in the game, it could get Disciple of Freyalise, which is also interesting that like it can get me a creature that can sacrifice Atali to draw 7 and gain 7, or it can just get me a land.
Yeah, it can just get you the Disciple of Freyalise, which you can then play as a land. Now, this is obviously like the pack trigger on the upkeep is the elephant in the room here, but like with a deck like Atali, a lot of times you're winning on this turn. All you need is 1 more mana and you can probably win the game. So you get into your upkeep. If you get to your upkeep, that means you whiffed. You lost anyway. You're dead anyway. So
or
who cares?
At least I can like get myself into a spot where my Atali flips won't let me lose on my upkeep. I can at least get Atali out, and then like I'll flip into mana rocks or other ways to make mana on my next turn so that way I can pay for the pack trigger and then move along too. And I think this is especially helpful now that World War Hulk has been previewed, because now part of the issue has been, how am I going to make double green in my heavy red pip deck?
Yeah.
This is another way that you can like help make double green, and now I don't even have to get to 7. I only have to get to 5.
It makes a lot of sense. It feels a little bit risky, but I think like if you're all in on Turbo Atali, I think it makes sense. I think it's just 1 extra, 1 more mana. And also like an important thing that you mentioned kind of quickly is when Atali whiffs, what you're whiffing into is normally a whole bunch of mana. That's normally what you're whiffing into. You didn't find a tutor, but you found a bunch of mana. That's one one of the reasons why Atali is kind of so good is because you whiff upward. I don't know, like the style that like Naju used to do as well is like, even if you don't win the game, you normally end up with like a whole bunch of resources. So like you said, if you get that extra mana, you can just pay for the pact on your next turn and then you're good to go. So did you cut anything for it yet? Have you put it in yet, or are you still thinking about it?
No, I haven't yet. I wanted to wait to talk about it in a podcast before I decided if I wanted to put it in the deck yet. I think it is interesting. Like, you could go get Eternal Witness too. So like, again, late in the game, if there's something I need to buy back, like if my food chain got stopped before, it's a way to like buy my food chain back, which is interesting. But we've talked about every other creature that it could go get.
All you needed to do is get the Spirit Guide. That's all it does in the Legacy deck. Oops, all spells. All it does is just get the Elvish Spirit Guide, because all that deck needs to do is get to 4 mana.
Does that deck play the Disciple of Freyalise too? Because I also do think that it getting me my land drop potentially is really good. Yeah, again, if I need it to try to win the game as well.
Right, like if you're not going to make a land drop anyway, getting the land is like the exact, it's actually better than getting the Elvish Spirit Guide, because
unless
it still
the thing that I'm
going
to do is Treasonous Ogre, because then I have to pay the 3 life for the land to come in.
Yeah, sure, that's fair. Yeah, but in a lot of situations, you're not going to hit that land drop anyway, so it's just going to go get you the land, which is still 1 more mana, which is fine.
And a lot of the deck is just like trying to make 1 more mana.
Right.
I don't know. I'm definitely still thinking about it. That might be something that I put in for whatever the next card I feel like I want to take out is.
We mentioned the Disciple of Freyalise a bunch, but I feel like Disciple of Freyalise is going to be a good target for it, especially if you flip into the tutor off of an Atali flip, because you can go get a creature. If you have Atali in play, go and getting something that can sacrifice it to draw you 7 cards and put Atali back in the command zone will be good.
That's also very true too. Yeah, it's going to be very good at like helping you set up for the future or just helping you win the game right away. Yeah. So I think that's very interesting. So that was the original interaction that we were talking about. That was something that we were taking from Legacy and maybe we could use in a cEDH scenario.
So far, we have talked very little bit about 60 card formats, but do you have another topic or idea that switches over from 60 card to cEDH?
Yeah, pretty much all of Oops All Spells from Legacy has now started to come over to cEDH too.
I've seen a couple decks pop up that try to do the Oops All Spells things in cEDH.
Yeah, should we talk a little bit more about what Oops All Spells is in Legacy?
Sure, yeah, we can do that. Basically, the goal is you cast a bunch of rituals like Dark Ritual and Lotus Petal and anything that can make mana. You have no lands in the deck because you're casting, I think the cards are named Undercity Informer, a 3 mana black creature. You can pay 1 mana to sacrifice it and mill over the top cards of your library until you hit a basic land, which there are none in your library. And something else? Oh, Balustrade Spy is the other one.
That's it.
That is a 4 mana creature that has an Enters trigger that does the same thing. The Balustrade Spy is kind of better because there's just less things that stop an Enters trigger than an activated trigger, I think. But either way, they're basically the same thing. 4 mana to just win the game on the spot. It's one of the only decks in Legacy that does something like this, that wins so efficiently with just like a 1-card combo. Like there are other decks, obviously, like Doomsday and Show and Tell, but you need a couple other things to make those things work sometimes.
The best decks in Legacy are all like interactive decks. Like
it's like the tempo decks and stuff.
Dimir, Tempo, Izzet, Delver, like they're all trying to be interactive and win with Tamios and Delver of Secrets and stuff like that.
Right, and Oops All Spells, from what I've seen, it kind of just demands your opponent has Force of Will on turn 1. You get to play Pact of Negation in the deck as well, so you get to run protection. But the idea is that you're trying to win on turn 1 like every game. That's what it does, because once you just get your trigger off to mill your whole library, you mill over a couple of relevant things, mainly being a couple of Narcomoebas. You don't need 4, just like 2 normally is what I see. A couple of Poxwalkers, a Cabal Therapy, a Bridge from Below, and you basically can get into the spot where you sacrifice one of the Narcomoebas to cast a Cabal Therapy to check your opponent's hand for some other piece of interaction that they may have been holding out for or for whatever reason, and then you cast your single copy of Dread Return after the Poxwalkers come back after the Cabal Therapy is cast. I said that in a little bit of a confusing order, but 2 Narcomoebas in play off the mills.
Yep.
Sacrifice 1 for Cabal Therapy.
Yep.
2 Poxwalkers come back tapped because you cast something from not your graveyard.
Yep.
Sacrifice those 3 things for a Dread Return
Yep.
to reanimate Thassa's Oracle, and you've milled over her library and you win the game.
Yep.
It's kind of a cool deck that it's sort of just like a machine.
Yep.
If you just like
Yep.
get to count to 4, play the thing, it just does everything. There's a couple of other ways that it can use to protect itself and try again. Stuff like Jack-o'-lantern can exile from the graveyard with 1 of your extra mana to make a mana of any color, which can be relevant because you're casting a spell with flashback. The name
Memory
of it,
Lab.
Memory,
No.
Memory
no.
Journey? Memory's Journey?
Memory's Journey
Memory's
is it,
Journey,
yeah.
which allows you to put 3 cards from your graveyard back into your library, which then theoretically could allow you to win the game again at another turn with Thassa's Oracle again or something like that. If they were to, try to stop you, like exile your library or use some sort of exile effect while you're trying to win the game.
Now you have to shuffle those cards back into your library, but there's a world where you just draw Thassa's Oracle and you can just win right again on your next turn.
Right,
then.
yeah, exactly. That's the goal. That's the idea. In practice, I mean, the deck is, I think, a little bit trickier to play than I originally thought when I played it, because the mulligan decisions are a lot harder. I think you just have to be super aggressive and mulligan all, like, for the turn 1 every time. time, and it's a little bit. Go ahead.
No.
It's a little bit random. You're playing the slots. You know, if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. There's not a ton of play besides like try to win on turn one, and then if you don't, like reevaluate your mulligan decisions. It's a super cool deck nonetheless.
It kind of makes sense why we're looking at this deck for things that Atali might want to do, because it kind of feels like Legacy's version of Atali, where you're just trying to get to a mana benchmark so that you can win the game off of a bunch of different stuff that you're going to see and do. It's just way better at doing that, because like 60 card formats are way easier to set up these kind of decks because you get access to 4 copies of all of the best versions of these effects. If I could play 4 Lotus Petal in Atali, that would be amazing. I would love that.
Yeah, and it's not even like the comparison isn't even, it's better than that because they play 4 out of 60 cards.
4 out of 100 is what that would be.
The comparison would be like 7 if you could play 7 Lotus Petals in your deck. That's like how many would be for the 60 card, right? The other big difference I think is Atali isn't like a guaranteed win, whereas the Upsal Spelled, it's a guaranteed win unless they have interaction or something like that, which they always fucking do because it's Legacy and the format is prepared for it. So like
they have way more hard counters for things, because not only do you get 4 Force of Will, but like Daze is a very popular interactive spell, and that is also a hard counter if they can't pay the Force Spike cost.
Yeah, and Thoughtseize is also very good against the deck, especially if you are on the draw, because your counter spell is packed in negation. You can't really pack the Thoughtseize, you know?
That's true, yeah, and that's not a card that like comes up in cEDH because there's too many people, you're gonna target the wrong person.
Right, dude, I wish
Why
there was...
is Orm's Chant good then?
Orm's Chant is good because sometimes there's only one blue deck at the table. Sometimes everyone talks and the table reveals that the one player has an interaction, the other players don't.
Yeah,
I think
talking is what makes it good. It's not that sometimes the pod looks a certain way. It's the people talk.
It's the people talking
all the time.
Yeah, like, oh, I don't have interaction, so may look for them, and you go, okay, well, I'm gonna Orm's Chant then.
Orm's Chant you. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, dude, I wish we could have some sort of hand disruption in cEDH. I haven't seen a version of it that is actually good. It's just too hard to manage the hands of 3 different players. The top decks are like...
They're all insane.
They're all insane. You can't Thoughtseize a commander out of someone's, you know what I mean? Like, they always have their commander, so...
Could you imagine if you could Thoughtseize the command zone?
That'd be great.
But the rules say when it goes to another zone, you can put it back in the command zone.
Wouldn't do anything,
so all you do is,
add a command tax to it or something.
Which there's 1,000 white cards that say name a card, it costs 2 more to cast.
I feel like a hand disruption could exist in Commander, but I got to assume, and this is maybe a little tinfoil hatty, and it's not even that bad or anything, but I think they know that casual players don't enjoy getting cards ripped out of their hands. That's like a common theme amongst casual Commander players that don't touch my hands. I don't want to discard cards and stuff like that.
That's why they printed Turgid, so that they could at least still see their cards on the other side of the board.
Right, yeah, exactly. That was for you. They did that for you.
That was for you. But you're welcome.
I got to imagine that's the reason why they don't print very powerful hand disruption spells for cEDH, because like how would you make it not insanely busted in 1v1
because each player is still each player.
Look at each player's hand, take a card out of it, you lose 4 life.
So in 1v1, a Thoughtseize that says each player,
you get to play 2.
Well, yeah, so they're not gonna like do that really. Yeah, but like it also would like get around Leyline of Sanctity, the white, which would be like insane. Yeah, I would love that for Jund.
How much life do you think that card would have to cost for 1 black mana? Look at each opponent's hand. You may
just 3 life.
Select any non-land card from it. They discard the card. You just lose 3 life.
It's just a Thoughtseize that gets around protection.
I think you should have to lose at least like realistically 6 life, because 2 life for 1 opponent, you're taking 2 more cards. So it would have to do like a lot of damage, and also for it to not be insane in 60 cards. Like you said, like that would just like for 3 life, that would almost be like just better than Thoughtseize because you get around.
No, I need it to be playable in 60 cards. That's why
that's what we're thinking. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I can't have the life cost be too much, because then you're never gonna play it in Jund.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. If they want to print one that's good in Commander, but they don't want it to be too good in 60 card, I think that's how you do it. Make it 6 life because you have 40 life anyway.
But it's not good in Commander then, because if you make it cost 6 life,
that's not good.
Like you want to play it in your Ad Nauseam deck. You cast it before your Ad Nauseam, and that's like 7 cards that you're not going to be able to see because you had to spend all that life trying to do protection. Whereas like every deck that's playing Necro and Ad Naus has so many other better ways to protect their spells that they're just not going to play that card in cEDH.
How much life do you think? You think just 3 life is the maximum that you would pay for that effect?
Yeah, I think 3 life would be the max. 4 life. I wouldn't. Maybe 4 life, but like 4 life is when we start to go, you're playing Ad Nauseam, why do you play so many 4-drops in your deck? Like there is a balance point where depending on how much you lean into Ad Naus versus how much you might lean into Necro versus am I playing Blue Farm versus am I playing Grixis? Like I think that also depends too.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, we can get off this fantasy line. I don't care about fantasy cards ever. I was just curious about Thoughtseize because it's one of my favorite cards ever in Magic, and I would love to play its equivalents in cEDH, but it just doesn't really exist right now.
What I would like to note, though, we've had this kind of conversation before about like which one of these formats is the most like cEDH.
Yeah.
And I will say most of the ideas that I got came from Legacy instead of any of the other Eternal formats. So the other Eternal formats are Modern and Vintage, not Standard because that rotates.
Right.
The problem that I found with those other two formats is that Modern's card pool is way weaker than what cEDH has access to. So there's a ton of like reserve list cards that they won't ever be able to see, or like fast mana that they don't get access to. So a lot of their builds just operate differently. And when we do find some sort of overlap in a strategy, it's the Amulet of Vigor lands decks, where it's completely built around a card that's banned in Commander, which is Primeval Titan.
And realistically, I feel like a lot of the modern decks are like geared for removing 20 of your opponent's life points. Like that's what they're trying to do. Even the combo decks like Amulet Titan, if I remember correctly, are realistically still like attacking with a double striking Primeval Titan. I think there's like a ton of other options.
There's way less attacking with a double striking.
It's not doing that anymore.
+2/+0 hasty vigilant.
Okay, maybe I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
I remember that from a while ago, but I was looking at those decks for when we were recording the Chilled Away, and I was like, I do not recall what any of these are. What is these Field of the Dead and Lotus Bloom lines?
I still feel like a lot of the modern decks are trying to attack your opponent for 20 life. You know what I mean? They are trying to deal the damage to your opponent. Although that is also true in Legacy. It's a little bit, there are more decks that are a little bit more like combo oriented.
It's way easier to like go over the top, or like the card pool is a similar access, whereas like they're trying to slow the game down so that they can take their opponent from 20 to 0, whereas like we can still do that in cEDH, but we're not going to take our opponents from 40 to 0 or 120 to 0 realistically. We're going to win in a combo instead.
That's the biggest difference, I think, is that our opponent in cEDH, our opponents have an unreasonable amount of life total. It is ridiculous to even consider that you could deal 120 point damage in a reasonable time. It's, you know, even if you're considering that they're going to deal damage to themselves, dealing like 80 to 100 damage by like turn 4, you're not going to be able to do that consistently.
That's the thing.
Well, while also not dying. So that's not really even an option in cEDH, but in cEDH, we do have all of the fast mana. So we have so many more abilities to just like win on the spot, whereas Modern doesn't have access to that speed.
Yeah, whereas like Vintage has access to that though, like the ability to kind of win on the spot. And that's what always has made Vintage feel more like cEDH to me. But in practice though, like when I look into the format to try to get ideas for cEDH, all of those decks are built around cards that are banned in Commander. Like you can't play Tinker, you can't play Black Lotus or any of the Mox, you can't play Tolarian Academy, and a lot of the strategies are also in the same vein. I'm trying to get my opponent
from 20 to 0.
From 20 to 0.
In Vintage, like the other decks that aren't focused on those cards that are banned in Commander are Dredge decks or something that are playing 4 Bazaar of Bagdads, and they're playing 4 out of 60 cards. So it's the same thing that like, you know, having 4 of the card in your deck out of 60 is much different than 1 out of 99 because they can be built more around something that's like not your commander.
Or they're playing Oath of Druids. 4 Oath of Druids, which works because you only have one opponent that you have to worry about giving a Forbidden Orchard Spirit to. But like you can't rely on your opponents not just like flipping into Ranger Captain of Eos on their turn in cEDH then too.
For me, like the biggest difference, if we're talking about like the differences between like cEDH in 60 card formats, is like the communication.
Yeah,
the
that's
politicking.
a great point.
You know what I mean? Like bluffing does exist in 60 card formats. You can trick your opponents. You don't want to be a dickhead, obviously, but you can, you know what I mean? Like you can bluff information, you can hide stuff, you can try to make them think that you're going and doing one thing when you're doing another thing. It's
even
possible.
Just how you play. Like if you're more aggro with your creatures, they might think that you have certain tricks that you might not. Even holding up mana is bluffing too.
Exactly, yeah. Whereas in cEDH, you can communicate a lot more because there are multiple opponents. So we can talk and we can form alliances and we can gang up on people. Whereas in 1v1, I can't like, you know, don't attack me with your Ragavan and I won't cast Lightning Bolt on it. You know what I mean? Like
it's
that
way
doesn't really
more
happen. You can't do that in 60 cards.
Yeah, because like they can play around it more better. They can just go, okay, well now I don't have to worry about this.
Yeah, they don't have to worry about it. Or they say, okay, yeah, just Lightning Bolt my Ragavan because then you're down a piece of interaction and you're my only opponent. So you have it anyway. You can only use it against me.
In John's, that's what I want. I want you to 1v1 me because my cards are better than your cards. I'll still win.
Right, yeah. Whereas in 60 card, like that trick of like, don't attack me, I'll Lightning Bolt your creature, it works because, okay, maybe that means you'll Lightning Bolt somebody else's creature and then I can win. In 1v1, that Lightning Bolt's only coming at my shit. There's nowhere else
there's other options for you to attack. So like it kind of makes sense. But if there's no other option, just freaking do it.
So I think that the politics is like the biggest change, like forever and always.
All right, let's get back to some other ideas that I came up with here.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm so smart. Listen to me. Rite of the Reliquary might be something that we should consider playing. So there's a deck in Legacy.
Wait, what is the card you said?
Right.
Not Knight of the Reliquary?
Not Knight of the Reliquary.
What is Rite of the Reliquary?
Rite of the Reliquary is a green and a black black.
Oh, I know this card. It's like the zombie version of Night of the Reliquary. Yeah. But what does it do? What does it remind me?
So Rite of the Reliquary is a black and a green for a 2/2 zombie knight with vigilance, and it gets +1/+1 for each creature card in your graveyard. You can tap and sacrifice another creature to search your library for a land and put it onto the battlefield tapped and then shuffle.
So it's a repeatable creature. Wait, can I see it?
Yes, it's a repeatable land tutor that just requires you to sacrifice creatures instead of other lands. And it's cheaper than Knight of the Reliquary.
Yeah.
But Knight of the Reliquary has the lands come into play untapped, I think.
Oh, is that what it is?
This makes them come into play tapped, which is a little bit worse, which technically means that it's 2 turns before you get access to them.
Yeah, the Thrasios Tevish, is that a deck that could want something like this?
Maybe, if you're a little
Gaia's
bit...
Cradle stuff?
Yeah, because they have a great way to sacrifice creatures, and then if you do lean more into the Gaia's Cradle thing, actually that is kind of like an interesting way to go about Ouroboros Breeze Caller lines, because like instead of going low to the ground and really fast, you're bigger in mana because of Tevish, but you can still pump out a lot of dorks that can make you a lot of Cradle mana.
There's another card that does something similar to this, Elvish Reclaimer? Is that what it is?
Yeah, that one.
Crop rotations.
But it costs 2 mana to crop rotation.
Whereas this one, no mana investment to actually activate the ability, but it costs 2 mana to cast.
Arguably, your mana investment is whatever creature you're sacrificing. You had to put something into that. So whatever resource you put into that, which could be a 5 mana Tevish, technically.
So what if you were to take some of the lands strategies, the Luma stuff, and you put it in a Thrasios Tevish deck, and you had cards like Amulet of Vigor that have your lands come in untapped, and you play cards like this and the Elvish Reclaimer that go get you crop rotations and the like, that would normally be a little bit slow, but if you have the Amulet of Vigor stuff, holy shit, they're crazy.
I feel like also in the Corvold lands deck, this could also work because when you sacrifice something, Corvold also triggers then too.
It's a little bit slow, but if you just like play this on turn 1, turn 2, play a body, search for a land, turn 3, you have an untapped thing that you want, but the thing's coming in tapped is the stinky part about this.
I think you would want to play this in a deck where you're running every single version of Spelunking that you can, though. It kind of like plays in a different deck than what it plays in Legacy. Like the Legacy version of this is like a very grindy deck, and this would go in like way more of like a combo deck where you're just trying to find like a specific land in particular. Maybe you want to find like Mirror Maid, because in all these decks, like you could be Landsy and you could be in just like Lumra in the 99 too.
Yeah, I mean, in the decks that this plays in 60 card, this being a large creature with vigilance that can attack,
that's also really good.
I got to imagine that's a relevant thing. Maybe not the best thing about it, but the fact that you can put a pressure on while also going to get resources out of your deck and churning through your deck, like that's got to be good in 60 card. Whereas like this thing being kind of big in cEDH 1, it's not going to be big because even the decks that it goes in, they're going to be playing 20 or 30 creatures. If that, so it's going to be like a 1/1 or a 2/2 or something. It's not going to be big. So that part's not relevant like at all, which is a stinker.
That is a stinker. Right? You can sacrifice an earth-bended land to go get another land, though.
Oh,
so like I think there's a lot of other synergy that like can go along with this too. That like you gotta put it in some sort of a Golgari-based lands deck. But I think that there could be a lot of synergy because that land that you sacrifice with the Earthbend just comes right back.
That's true.
And if you have an amulet of some kind out,
that's pretty good.
That way they both enter play untapped then.
Which means if you are like sacrificing like a Gaia's Cradle, you could have it like basically do this to sort of like untap your Gaia's Cradle by sacrificing and having come in untapped. If you have the Amulet of Vigor, obviously this is like you have like a bunch of things out at one time.
Yeah, but you're right though. This is slow, and this is I think still again a lot of pieces that you need. But I think that the deck that wants this doesn't need only these pieces because whatever you have in play already is going to be fucking nuts with this card.
I saw a weirdo deck pop up. I think it's called Cosmo Goyf.
I love. Of course, I know that it's a Goyf. Of course, I know the.
It gets the +1 for each card in your exile or something.
In all of Exiles, I think it is. Yeah.
And in Modern, you can play Spoils of the Vault, which is like a terrible demonic consultation. And you can also play, what's the 2-mana one that you can entwine to pay X life and look at top X cards, take a card, exile the rest? You know the card I'm talking about?
I do, because you used to play this in the food chain decks when we started playing cEDH. You don't go into it, no. It's the art's this guy.
That's it.
Yeah.
It plays that card too, and then not Fling. fling,
It's
but
Pier. No, it's not a Pier.
no, it's not a Pier.
Fuck.
I don't know
And
what it is.
Fling? You fling?
Not fling, you thud. It's a 1-mana version of fling, but it's a sorcery, and you thud them with it. I
That's
guess.
so funny.
I don't know if that's good or if that's transferable to cEDH whatsoever, but I just thought that was fun.
That's so funny. I love that.
Yeah, I hope that deck is good because it feels ridiculous. Just like land a 2/2 and thud it. Like, how
really.
could that be good? But
Yeah, so then does that mean that Knight of the Reliquary is too slow for Yoshimaru Thrasios, the already slow Gaia's Cradle deck?
I think so. Although I see Tyvar. Tyam.
Oh, wow, there's so many magic cards.
I've seen Tyam play Knight of the Reliquary before.
Okay.
I never get it. I never understand. I always say, isn't that too slow? And they go, no, it's good. And then they don't win or something. I don't know. I feel like that one's not a good one. But what do I know? This one I think is better. I think the fact that this is 2 mana is super relevant. Although having to sacrifice a creature is probably shittier than sacrificing a land.
But it's cheaper and in better colors.
And I think in like the right deck, like Korvold or something, when you're sacrificing a Birds of Paradise that you already tapped for mana and you plan on winning this turn anyway, who cares? If it's you're getting rid of a Stitcher supplier, you could be sacrificing things with death triggers, or if you're doing something in a weird Jund's Dargo deck and you're sacrificing a bunch of shit anyway, this is another thing that sacrifices a thing. I could see it. I feel like it could do a lot, especially if you pair it up with the right things.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I wanted to talk about that card.
I love it.
But this Cradle Control deck gave me a couple of other ideas. Listen to this.
Yeah.
We should be playing Quirion Ranger more now.
What does it do? Bounce an elf on tap of land? No.
Quirion Ranger says, return a forest you control to its owner's hand to untap target creature.
Untap target creature.
Activate it once a turn.
What creature are you untapping?
Gaia's Cradle?
If you make it a creature with
Badger Mole Cub? Yeah.
Woof, woof. Yes, this is a good idea.
I feel like this is, again, something else for your green decks. They're just like looking for other creatures
Like
that are really
Selvala?
good. Like Selvala.
They already play this.
They already play this. But
Yeah.
like this might be a reason for a Thrasios deck, which might mean that Thrasios could play a Shia then too.
Yeah.
And now you just have like another insanely
Okay.
easy way to make infinite mana or just make a ton of mana because it's not like a Shia-ing all of your creatures. That's basically another Enduring Vitality, right? A Shia is another Enduring Vitality that's expensive but also combos infinitely with Quirion Ranger.
Kind of, right?
But you also need something else though with this.
It makes your creatures lands.
Yeah.
Which allows them to tap for mana.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Which is good.
Which is good.
Yeah.
That's what it does.
That is what it does, yeah.
Okay.
And that's what Enduring Vitality does. It turns your creatures into lands.
Makes them tap for mana.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is
what lands do.
I don't know why I'm getting tripped out right now because isn't there sometime there's a situation where Toph makes artifacts into lands, but they can't tap for mana? Is that because Toph says that and Ashaya says otherwise? Why are they different?
Because Ashaya turns them into forest.
It turns them into specifically forest, and forests tap for green mana.
Yeah, part of what being a forest is tapping for a green mana. Let me pull up Ashaya.
But lands do not inherently tap for mana. They don't have to do that. They are just a permanent type. But forests must tap for mana because that's what forests do.
Yeah, one of the notes and rules information says a land that's a forest has the intrinsic mana ability of tapping to add green.
Okay, that's why these things are different.
Yeah, which is why like when you imprison in the moon something, turn something into a land, like it always specifies that land has tap to add colorless or tap to add something.
Kind of weird, but yes, or okay.
Kind of weird, but yes. But that also kind of means that all of your permanents or all of your creatures now can't be into the flood mod.
Oh, that's true. They can't be abrupt decayed either.
They can't be abrupt decayed either, right? So like there's a lot of interaction that now you're protected from.
Is this a reason to play Thrasios Bruise because you can Neoform Bruise into a Shia? Am I thinking, why wouldn't you just get Seedborn Muse?
Because you're ready to win the game.
You're just ready to win the game.
You're just ready to win the game.
I feel like I'm thinking old brain. I feel like this is an old wave of thought of like I want a Neoform Bruise because this is what I did like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is still any good.
Well, giving yourself 2 options to Neoform Bruise into something good, I think is great.
Yeah.
Like having your long game option in Seedborn Muse is awesome.
Yeah.
And that makes me want to... And then the other thing is that's something that helps you win the game. So whether you're ready to win or not, the only problem is you have to cast Bruise. I really don't want to cast Bruise.
Yeah, I don't want to cast Bruise. And it's slow. Why would you just not play Rograk is probably the main thing.
Why would you just not play Rograk? Yeah, but I think if you're playing Badger Mole Cub, you could and might want to play Quirion Ranger in that deck. Yeah. And if you want to play Quirion Ranger, you're probably playing Thrasios, which means you might want to play a Shia.
For a while, I was pretty against the land stuff in the Thrasios decks. I thought they were like not exactly exactly it. But now I'm kind of wondering if, like maybe they should just continue to be fused a little bit more. And that's the missing piece in the lands decks is you should just be Thrasios decks or something.
Push your lands decks to be Thrasios decks instead.
Are you still thinking that Ashaya and Rite of the Reliquary could be something? There's together there?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if that's something together there in particular, but these are like 4 separate strategies, I would imagine. Yeah.
A quick pivot. You just put Blue Farm together, and I feel like Blue Farm is very similar to Dimir Tempo and Legacy. Not really, but in that you are just like gaining a little bit of advantage until you can win the game with overwhelming advantage.
I didn't really think about that, but I think that is a really good point.
And mainly I say this because they're both like the best decks in the format, and like on the surface they're kind of fair-ish compared to what the rest of the format is doing. But yeah, why did you put Blue Farm together?
Oh, because I'm sick of not having win conditions. This felt so great. So last night I went to Cloud and I played my last game of Timna Malcolm.
Yeah.
And I went home and I put Timna Crown together. And like I looked at the stack of cards. The way that I sorted out the deck was one of the stacks of cards that I had was cards that are associated with winning the game. So this was Thassa's Oracle, Demonic Consultation, Tainted Pact. Sorry, Cubby. I'm listing a ton of cards. Brain Freeze, Savine's Reclamation, Gifts Ungiven, Intuition, all of the other cards that are associated with that pile, but also like Mnemonic Betrayal. Like it was this huge stack of cards, and I was like, this is gonna feel so great. I'm not gonna have any trouble finding win conditions, and I got to take out a lot of bad tutors like Grim Tutor. I got to put in Gamble, which felt great.
Oh yeah, yeah. It does kind of seem like it's an upgrade in a lot of ways.
And now my Enlightened Tutor tutors for a win condition and not just an advantage piece when I need it.
That's super relevant.
Which also feels way better too. Like there's so many other avenues that like you can pull wins together from, which is like kind of why I wanted to go in this direction.
I feel like Magic is a game of choices, so the more choices you give yourself, the more chances you are to make like a good one. Ideally, if you're a good player, and like if you have more options than your opponent, then you'll be able to win the game. I feel like long term because you just have more choices than they do, so you theoretically will have better choice options to make. So that makes a lot of sense why you're switching to Blue Farm.
Yeah,
I just thought it was kind of a comparison to like a Legacy deck, like in the Dimir Tempo deck.
I think so too. Yeah. Plus, I was playing that game and I was looking at Snapcaster in my hand and Delny in my hand at a point where they were doing absolutely nothing for me, and I'm just like, you know what? These are 2 cards that aren't going to be in Blue Farm that will just be replaced by something good that I could play instead.
When they're good, they're really good, but when they're not, they're like terrible. And I feel like Blue Farm, there's just less of that. All the cards are like at their worst, still okay.
I got milled out, and I had that Snapcaster Mage in my hand, and I couldn't put a win together on my upkeep.
Yeah, there's nothing in your deck.
I have every card in my deck available to me, and I can't win on my upkeep when I'm milled out.
You can get Born Upon the Win back, but then you draw the last card in your library, and then you lose.
I lose to that. Yeah, I can't flashback reanimate because I'm gonna die on my draw step first.
Yeah, it's a real shame.
Yeah, what a shame. I mean, I'm not ashamed anymore because now I'm gonna be playing Blue Farm. So we got that.
Much better deck.
Much better deck. Yeah. Shall we talk about another thing?
Yes, let's talk about another thing.
I realized that the Ral Monsoon Mage deck is literally just Ruby Storm in Modern.
Oh,
and that's probably why Ral picked up steam. Is someone went, we can do this in a better color combination in a stronger, more powerful format.
Yes,
but like the deck operates the same way. You get either Ruby Medallion out or you get a Ral out, and then you play really cheap red cards that exile the top 2 cards of your library so that you can keep spinning through your whole deck and then storming off and winning like that.
Do you have any interest in playing that Modern deck? Because I feel like it's kind of up your alley in a way.
Well, I took Ral apart,
so maybe not.
So maybe not. Yeah. I think I want to try that Affinity deck a little bit more.
Sure. Yeah, we just played it on the Chill to Win.
I did like that deck, and it seems like it is one of the stronger things that you can do in Modern. I think I just might want to tune up the sideboard a little bit more. There's a couple of questionable options that I think were in there, and I just like net decked the list to play.
Playing against main deck Doorkeeper throws 4 of them is not ideal in your artifact deck that relies on lots of enter triggers.
That's also true too.
So I get that. I
also, looking back, like totally should have kept all of the Galvanic Blast in. Why didn't I keep all the removal in?
Yeah. Because when they're bad, they're so terrible. But like by the time that they're bad, when I specifically have Scion of Draco and Leyline out, nothing's good.
Nothing's good. Nothing's good. But like when I can come back by having one of them, like I should just do that.
Right. Yeah.
I played so bad. Oh my god.
Magic is impossible, especially when your like tools get a little bit when you get a little bit rough around the edges. What's the term that I'm thinking about? Like when you haven't played Modern for a while, your skills rusty. I feel like when you haven't played Modern for a while and you come back, there's another word I'm thinking about. You're
crusty.
No, your instincts. I don't know. Like you're just a little rusty. I think rusty is just the experience.
A couple more things to talk about. I don't know why I keep introducing every single segment like this.
No, this is how. Yeah, And the next thing is...
And now for something completely different. The initiative.
Oh, yeah.
I do not play against a lot of decks that try to gain the initiative in cEDH or any of these initiative cards that have like completely broken vintage and made mono white the strongest vintage deck.
Crazy, right?
Crazy, yeah.
Dude, I think it purely just comes down to your opponent has 20 life in vintage and your opponent in cEDH has a whole bunch of life. Because like the biggest thing that this thing does is like it's good in a 1v1 situation. All of the things that it gives you through the dungeon, like 5 life is 25% of your opponent's life total. Like that's kind of huge when it hits that. Like I feel like every advantage that you get in 1v1 is just worth more than it is in multiplayer,
Yeah,
right?
because like having to play basics in your deck so that the first level of the initiative, like it powers down your deck immediately.
Right, yeah.
Kind of like have to go through like the make a treasure route, and you don't get it until you go to your upkeep, and there's 3 other players that get turns before you will end up getting advantage, whereas in 1v1, there's only 1 other player that you have to worry about attacking you to try to gain the initiative too.
Yeah. In 1v1, I always feel the resource battle is much more apparent, though. We are battling over resources, whereas in cEDH, I want to just like get the most that I can get. It's not like I kind of don't want to look at you. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to interact with you. I don't want to make sure you have less resources than me. I want to get as many resources as I can get, period.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
1v1's not really a race the same way that cEDH
1v1 is more than a battle. If I can make you have no resources, you can't come back anymore. I get more time. I can do, you know what I mean? Like, it's much different. Whereas in cEDH, if I make sure that you don't have your resources, the other 2 players will just win the game. There's somebody else over there. So I think that's like the biggest difference is that you can act on this whole other axis of just like making sure your opponent can't do what they're supposed to do.
Or you just have too much that they can't stop you from not having.
Right, yeah, exactly. But the resource battle is much more apparent. I want to have more cards than my opponent. I want to have more stuff in play than my opponent. I want to have more, you know what I mean? That feels a little bit more obvious than in 60 card where, like I said, it's just like a race.
Which is a shame because I have seen a couple of these initiative decks. Like there's that Esper guy. There's an Esper guy that cares about the initiative. And if you play a lot of initiative cards, I have lost to that deck. Like if the games go slow enough and like all of their stuff is creatures. So if you don't play enough creature removal, you're not going to have great answers to anything. And then by the time they have the initiative, again, everything's creatures. So it's hard to gain the initiative back. And then they can slowly stumble through like a ton of value and be able to take over the game that way. But it's hard when like decks like Kinnan can go above the table in the same way and go way bigger than every other deck, way faster than the initiative can let you.
It's kind of nice that these other formats exist and allow you to play this other style of Magic. Like,
so that way things that are made for Commander can be good.
In Commander.
You just have to not play them in Commander.
Right, yeah, but like I think it's sick that like the initiative is really good in Vintage because if you want to play the initiative, you can like proxy a Vintage deck and play it with your friends and like still get the experience of playing the initiative but good. And then in cEDH, you can do stuff that's good in cEDH. Like that's one of the many appeals to Magic, I think, is that like different cards, they may not be good in this format, but they're good in another format, and all of the skills are somewhat transferable. Like we talk about how politicking is much more relevant in cEDH than it is in 1v1, but that type of like politicking, like we said, it does exist. Like the pen trick, the LSV thing of like tricking your opponent into thinking you're going to take the damage, but you actually have a combat trick or something like that. That type of politicking does exist. It's a transferable skill. It just looks a little bit different.
Which is kind of like what we're doing with a lot of these cards too.
Right.
Like we can use some of these strategies that they're using in Legacy, but like we have to employ them a little bit differently in cEDH, but there's still cards that like we could use because they could still be super strong. We're just not using them now because they're not as common because they're not necessarily traditionally good in a 4-person environment.
Wrapping it back to the Oops All Spells deck, like that deck can exist in cEDH. It does. I've seen it play. Like I think it's a little bit worse than its Legacy counterpart, but in time, that deck will get better. Over time, you're going to get more lands that are not lands, and you're going to get another thing that, I don't know, exiles all the cards in your library that aren't a basic land or something like that.
And have you noticed that every time that we get lands that are not lands, they're always better than the previous version of lands that are not lands?
And eventually, like, you will be able to get to a point where you have a 1-card 4-mana combo in your cEDH deck, which is pretty good on rate, and you don't have to sacrifice card quality, because that's what that deck has to do right now, is it kind of has to sacrifice a decent amount of card quality to gain access to that 4-mana 1-card combo. Over time, the lacking of card quality is not going to be there. So I do think there's a world where like Oops All Spells becomes a real cEDH deck down the line, but we just need a couple more things.
The last main thing that I want to talk about here is Phelia. Do you remember Phelia?
Oh, yeah.
I was playing this card in some deck recently, and I think I should be looking at this a little bit better. This is the exuberant shepherd that like exiles things when she attacks, and then
it's good.
I think this card is really good too.
Choices. This is like a choices thing, like I mentioned with Enlightened Tutor. Not only can you flick flicker your mana vaults and have it come in untapped, but you can also flicker out an opponent's opposition agent and then tutor, and then the opposition agent comes back or something like that, right?
Again, I feel like it's a little bit slow, but you can hold it up with flash. So like you can essentially use it the turn that it comes out and have freed up mana to do whatever you want to do with it for when you're blinking something.
Yeah, exactly. And like it sounds like silly, but just like a flash 2/2 blocker can sometimes get your opponent in a situation where like they didn't expect you to have something
Why'd
there.
you attack with your Orcish Bowmaster?
Right? Like
I'm
like,
not actually open.
That's not going to happen often, but when you do get to do it, it's going to completely blow your opponents out, which is just like a small nice thing about Flash that you could like keep an eye out for. Yeah, I agree, dude. I think Phelia is great. I think it's a little bit better in 60 card formats that I've seen recently because the things that you can flicker on your own board are like worth so much more.
There's less people that are going to interact with the things that you're going to flicker so that they stay around. Like what I noticed in Modern, this is where I got this idea from, was more Modern, is that there's two main things that you're blinking, and one of them is Flage, the Boros god, so it sticks around. There's a 6/6 that gets 2 lightning helixes then, but I don't know how you do that.
I don't think it sticks around.
It'll die.
It wasn't.
How do you do that? You don't do it.
It has an enters trigger to die if it didn't escape it. Yeah.
So don't flicker Flage. Instead, flicker Quantum Riddler. I think this is the one that they really want to do, so that you can play a Quantum Riddler for 2 mana and then flicker it, and it will come back and stay around. It'll miss out on the warp because it's a new instance of Quantum Reveler?
I don't know, dude.
What did I say the first time?
I have never played against this deck.
And you weren't listening to me because you were blacked out, so.
No, I was listening. I just don't know the interaction. Like, I know the deck. I just don't know how it works.
Riddler is what it is. Yeah. Riddle me this.
Why is that card so fucking expensive right now?
Because of this deck. That's why. Oh my God. Yeah. 4 of them is $210.
Yeah. I don't understand this deck at all. I know it's like really, really good in Modern right now. I have no idea how it works.
Yeah. That's what it is. It's Quantum Riddler and Solitude is what you want
I know
to
the
play.
Solitude's a good one.
Flage is just good.
Flage, I think, is just good.
Dude, and Fable of the Mirror Breaker. It'll never go away.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty cool too.
In cEDH, I feel like we don't have as many beneficial ETB things, right?
No, it's a ramp spell.
It's a ramp spell.
Yeah, using it on your mana vault. There's not so many, like you said, ETB things because we're not looking for a lot of value out of just one time enter the battlefield triggers. We're looking to get value over the long game. So you're trying to remove something for a turn that's giving your opponents value for a long game. I tried to remove a Narset Parter Avails with it last time I played it, and that felt great.
Yeah.
So I get to draw all the cards, and then it's going to go back into play, and no one else is going to have shit.
Specifically that part of it for cEDH, that you get to get rid of the stacks piece for you, and then it comes back to continue to interact with the other opponents. I feel like that's the secret thing of why this card is so good, is because, like you said, it goes both ways. It ramps you, it can do something positive for you, or it can get rid of a thing for an opponent while also still having that thing still stop your opponents.
Yeah, and I love that versatility that it has. Yes. Well, that's most of what I had to say. The only other thing that I wrote down was just going to be talking about a card that we think is bad and we know is bad.
What is it?
Consign to Memory.
Oh, yeah. This card's a lot better, I think, in 1v1 than it is.
I wrote down every one of them plays it. Every single one of these Eternal formats play this card.
Colorless cards are really good. Like Eldrazi is just often really good, and like stuff like that.
Sideboards exist in that format. Yeah, which is like something else that I realized is that like it was hard to look at a Storm deck to get a lot of other ideas for Storm in cEDH because your win conditions, they have to be completely different. Like I can't Burning Wish in cEDH. Tendrils of Agony is really bad in cEDH. It's just like a completely different axis that you're storming off on, and we already played Dark Ritual, so no new ideas there.
Yeah, that's true.
But Consign to Memory is what we were talking about.
There's more relevant things that it interacts with in Legacy and Vintage too, right?
Vintage especially too, because like the Shops decks, like that Ravagers deck that I played was also like that's a very popular deck.
It's good in Modern. I played in Zoob. It counters triggered abilities, right? So you can you can counter your Flage ability, the sacrifice ability, so you can have it enter and still Lightning Helix something and then counter the ability to sacrifice it.
This makes the Stifle deck be good in Legacy then too, because you can stifle a Phyrexian Dreadnought trigger.
I think that's when it's mainly good, is that you can use it on yourself, or you can also use it to stop something your opponent's doing. It's like surprisingly relevant. But in cEDH, I still stand by. I don't think this card is actually any good.
I forgot about that Dress Down deck.
Yeah.
In Legacy.
It's cool.
It doesn't seem like it sees a lot of play right now. Yeah.
I don't know why it went away. I don't really know enough about Legacy to understand why the metagame changes when it does. I just kind of like loosely check it every few weeks.
The only Legacy that I've ever played is on the channel.
Oh, really?
In my 60 card format days, I never got into Legacy. I have like I just couldn't afford it.
Right.
Yeah, it was. I'm never buying 6 copies of Dual Lands and shit like that.
Right, yeah. Why 6?
Well, because a lot of times you played like 4 Tundra and then than like 2 volcanic islands in like the
I
list or
understand.
something
I
like that.
understand. Yeah. No, but now like just fucking proxy, we play for fun, you know?
Well, yeah, now I do, and now I play Legacy. Now I play them, and it's just when it comes up on the channel. But like, I'm not opposed to that now.
I think they're super fun. I love playing Legacy. I haven't played a ton either. I play like a couple times a year. I play when we play on the channel. I play with, you know, like friends off to the side or whatever. And it's always a super fun. One thing that we haven't done is like a Brainstorm mirror. I feel like those mirrors are super fun. Normally I'm playing like a broken deck and you're playing an artifact
always
deck.
play the broken graveyard deck. I feel like I have no vintage experience other than playing against like a broken graveyard deck.
But a couple of these times we should record some more games and we'll play some just like Brainstorm games, because that is another card. Like Brainstorm is another one where like I don't understand how it's not good in cEDH anymore, because it's so insanely overpowered in Legacy.
That's just a Bowmaster thing, I think. But even then,
but
like
even before Bowmaster, it's a Ristic Study thing. It's if you cast your cantrip and you feed people cards and then it's not good off of your one instant.
It's a whole cantrip problem,
right?
But it does so much more than cantrip. Like it's fixing your hand. It's getting rid of stuff that you ultimately don't need. It's fixing problems. And
I'm playing it in Roxai again. It's like insane in Roxai if you're doing the Necro thing, because you want to draw all the cards in your end step, and sometimes you have to Mystical Tutor for a card like a Born Upon the Wind, and then Brainstorm to get the Born Upon the Wind so you can win in the end step.
It's basically just like a scroll rack without you having to play scroll rack.
Exactly.
Really.
It turns your Vampiric Tutor into Demonic Tutor, basically. Like if you want to think of it like that, to win the game and find the Born Upon the Wind when you need to, instant speed Demonic Tutor, which is really nice. And it also is just like a good card. Like it's just Brainstorm is just good when it's not doing that. If you have a fetch land, you have to oftentimes make sure that you can shuffle your library, because what you want to be doing is drawing 3 cards and then putting 2 duds back and then shuffling them away or something so that you don't have to draw them again.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to Brainstorm lock yourself, so you have to be aware of that when playing it. But it's such a powerful card, and in the decks that I think that can use it, I think it really works. So that's one that I'm going to try to use a little bit more and bring from Legacy, is just like actual factual Brainstorm. Even though, yes, I understand the Ristic Study thing, and even though, yes, the Bowmaster thing, realistically, I have found sometimes the Bowmaster thing, you can use that to your advantage. Hey, I want to cast Brainstorm. We should kill that thing, right?
Yeah,
with your
really.
like, we should get rid of that thing, and they'll say, yeah, we should get rid of that thing.
Yeah.
Great. You can work together with the Bowmaster player, so it's not that bad. Brainstorm, powerful card. I like it.
Honestly, Days too. If we're talking about other Legacy
Roxai,
powerhouses,
yes.
Roxai list have been on Days. There's probably more decks I could afford to play Days.
If you're winning on turn 1 or 2 and you play Islands, it absolutely should go in your deck. That's only one deck right now that's doing that consistently.
It's hard to play Islands and win on turn 1 or turn 2.
Right. Roxai can do that, not that many others, but if you are doing that, it's, I think, an auto include.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
Ponder's another one. Cantrips are just so
The
cool and
cantrips
fun.
are just bad in cEDH,
But they're just bad in
though.
cEDH,
Yeah.
but I want them to be good.
The rate's not good is the problem.
But one of the things that I'm looking forward to when we play a little bit more 60 card is playing more cards like Ponder and Brainstorm, because they are fun, and just being able to make sure that you hit your land drops and have the right piece of interaction or the right piece to push yourself forward in a game is just a fun way to play Magic.
I still have these freaking full art no text Ponders from my Cube
use
days.
them.
I gotta use them on something.
You have 4? You have playset?
I only have 2, but
How much are they? Do you remember?
$15 or something. They're way cheaper than you would
You got to
think.
finish the playset. Yeah, do it.
Oh yeah, I really should. I love those. More cards with no text on them, please, Wizards.
Oh, you
honestly,
like those?
whenever people complain about like the Urza saga and stuff, I'm like,
Grow up.
more of this. I want more of this. I know what my card does, and you already have to have your phone out to remember what Encore does, or remember like some other bullshit in a casual game. Why do you have to like look up what my insanely popular land does? Jeez Louise.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I like it. I mean, I think that's one of the cool parts about Magic also, is that my cards are allowed to look like whatever I want.
Especially now.
Yeah.
Well, not like whatever.
Not whatever I want, but like.
Well, I don't want them to look like those weird shit. Yeah.
I don't want it to look weird.
I don't want them to look weird.
cool, and I want it to look cool. Yeah, I don't know. Magic is cool. So is 60 card formats. I want to play more of it. Flex your Magic seals in other ways and bring it back to cEDH. The balance, I think. I want to make my opponent dead. It's clear in 60 card. I want to bring that from 60 card to cEDH sometimes. You know what I mean?
Played so much Jund. I want to have that access of being able to like attrition battle people in that way, and you don't get that in cEDH. So having more ways that I can be interactive and win games while being interactive, I think I would like.
All that to say, obviously, we are never stopping cEDH. cEDH, we will always be playing cEDH as our main format. And I'm not saying anything. It's not nothing. We would never take away from cEDH. That's our main thing forever and always.
You can't flip over 4 players' libraries with an Atali in 1v1.
Right,
so
cEDH is forever and always better. But when I'm not,
these are fun.
When you have 6 players rather than playing a 6-player cEDH game, it's fun when 2 of you can
even
play
like
Legacy.
your 6-player casual games.
Oh God,
and stuff
never
like that.
again. Every time I say never again, let's just someone bring a Legacy deck and we branch off and play 2.
The last time that was miserable.
God,
I hated that.
Were you playing Tarmogoyfs too?
Of course I was.
It's like, all right, tap land, go.
That
Fuck.
was before I even like put those upgrades in Tarmogoyfs too.
You got some upgrades now, right? You
I
put more
did. I
entombs and
upgraded.
stuff?
Yeah, it's not yet upgraded on my MOXFIELD,
Okay.
but I upgraded the crap out of the deck, and I'm very excited to. We got
this
a weekend coming up this weekend
Yeah.
where we'll get a lot of casual games in, and I'm very excited for this one because I think I'm going to be able to compete now instead of just like,
Yeah.
oh, accidentally, no one focused on me because I wasn't the biggest threat this
Play
time.
Blood Braid Elf. You still have Blood Braid Elf in the deck?
No, I could play
No,
Bright
yeah,
Elf. It
okay,
really,
good, yeah.
it was really.
Sad.
Wait a minute.
Wait,
No, that might
one's on there?
I might still be on that one. But like, I did like I put in like way more of like the Entomb effects. Like
Yeah.
Entomb's actually in there now.
Legacy banned card Entomb.
That card's banned in Legacy.
Entomb just got banned in Legacy.
When's just like on the
Like a month or two ago.
You're right, because I remember sending it to you now and going, "This is so sad."
I had Mono Black Reanimator sleeved up in Legacy. Not that it fucking matters, but like I don't think I ever played the deck once. That dude got banned.
I know, dude. That's what happened. Last time I built a modern deck, that happened to me. I spent way too much money on the Goryo's Vengeance deck, and I never played it. So
Yeah.
I'm proxying every single 60 card deck I make from now on.
That's fair. But Glorious Vengeance, I feel like will always kind of be good. There's always like an option for
It's
it. Like,
always like a good tier 2, tier 1.5 deck in modern
Yeah,
that like
you're
you
right.
could play. Yeah.
it's so close. It's always so close.
So close. Yeah. And now
But
I have
Entomb is
it.
good. Yeah, Entomb is good. I'm glad it's in your deck that says that you can just put whatever creature you want directly into play if your commander
Off
is
of
out.
Entomb,
Yeah,
yeah.
one mana, search library for a creature, put it into
For
play.
Pyroglyph.
Yeah,
Yep.
for Pyroglyph.
There we go.
Play. It's so fucking good. Instant speed.
Instant speed.
Instant
Pyroglyph.
speed.
I didn't even think about that
Crazy.
either. Yeah.
Instant speed is nuts.
Oh, you're gonna remove Thesa? Well, in response, I'll just go get Pyroglyph now, I
yeah,
guess.
dude. Yeah, that's gonna be really good.
That'll be cool. Yeah. So like that, Buried Alive, and then the 2-mana one, the Unmarked Grave, because there's no legendary Tarmogoyfs.
Perfect. Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm done. I think.
Yeah. We can be done.
Wait, how does it end? Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to support us directly, you can do so on Patreon. Like, no, is that what it goes into right away?
Yeah, it goes.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to support us on Patreon, you can do so at our $100 tier.
You're right. We haven't done this in a while. Should we say that you were sick too? We're coming
I
off
was
of...
sick, yeah. Poor me. That's
Oh,
why I suck.
no. That's why if he said anything wrong today, that's why too. Things MTG, Wandering Around, Mike H, Tom Bieber, Cumulative Upkeep MTG, Nathan Cohen, Mr. Jerby, Yoki Toad, Penguin Man 0089, Eli the Magic Guy, David Newman, Johnny Denver Omelet, Rocky Hall, Pat Fires, Frogman, Spengler, Larceny Roars, Joe Bright, Blue Sparky B, SC Phillip, Olden Groupie, Zach Hartley, Big Legs Banjo, Reactive, Sean in the Ice, The Works 472, Gabriel Garrett, Mace the Ace, Luke Cook, Connor Sipon, Joshua Day, Demon of Rosgreaves, Peter Stewart, Corona Wild, Uncle Butch, Duke, Luke Quajay, Hamid, Scott, Hawk, and Baby Jeebus.
To pick up any of our merch, you can do that at playtowinmtg.com.
Thank you, Dragon Shield, for supporting the show. Use code PLAYTOWIN5 at our affiliate link down below to help support the show.
You can follow us on the internet for more content.
Thank you for watching.
See you next time.
EXO, Sarge MTG, Rick, Sharticus, McSaucy, Max McComber, Meta, Ben Finelli, Jason Brooks, Safarius, Oh No, Frog, Ash Wayne, Vietnam 69, Sarcastic, Mystic Muffin Man, Zachary Coulson, Dalton Poteet, Jan Wildfang, Thomas Bueno, and David Nelson.